This week on the Racing Insiders, the ALMS says goodbye with a great run in Petit Le Mans. That race will continue, but this is the end of the ALMS Championship. We get the full details from Greg Kramer. The DTM says goodbye to 2013. We've got a report plus conversation with the man who lost the championship this year under the BMW banner. Rally America, we've got an interview with the champion. 3 times in a row, a great run for that title. And the World Endurance Championship reign everywhere. Great pictures from Japan and a new car that's going to change the paradigm in racing. All of that on the Racing Insiders this week. Next. Welcome back to the Racing Insiders, the only place in broadcasting where you're going to get sports car content every week. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles, Jeff Lepper is in Folsom, California, and Greg Kramer is in Atlanta. We got a great show today. I'm anxious to hear how it unfolds. Greg Kramer, tell us about what went on in the finale of Petit Le Mans, the final race in the American Le Mans Series Championship.
Well, thanks very much, Bill. Hi, everybody. Indeed, it was the end of an amazing adventure, the end of an era, the American Le Mans Series drawing to a close. The Petit Le Mans, the season finale, it will come back. It has been announced as part of the new Tudor United Sports Car Championship, same weekend. That will be early October next year. So the race continues, but the series draws to a close, but also the season finale for the championships. The last American Le Mans Championship came to an end, and the race couldn't have been a more challenging and perhaps in that regard great way to decide those championships, Bill. It started in treacherous conditions, wet to dry, then wet again, and that continued for the first couple hours of the race, and it wasn't until about a third of the way through when the track really dried out, and then it got down to just some serious, intense, classic American Le Mans style racing across all the classes, and of course the GT battle was magnificent.
You know, the winner, Rebellion Racing, a great weekend for them in Petit Le Mans, and they were on the podium in the World Endurance Championship, another rainy affair in Japan. It's a great weekend for a relatively small team to get podiums in 2 significant events.
Well, and I think that speaks to the prestige and the importance of the Petit Le Mans on the global scale. They won it last year. They started off, ran the first 3 races of the American Le Mans Championship. Then they made the commitment to the new P1 category in 2014. They're building a new prototype with Arica. It's a huge investment in both time and resource. So they decided we're going to have to stay in Europe, focus on the World Endurance Championship. But then they looked at the fact that they had won the Petit Le Mans last year. This was the final one of the American Le Mans Series ever. It's a prestigious race, and they decided, well, we're going to have to split our resources. They sent their A game, their A team really, here to Atlanta for the Petit Le Mans, and they contested this event, and the other car ran at, as you said, at a very wet Fuji. So the Rebellion team defended, and I know, talking to them afterwards, that meant a great deal to that team to be able to come back and defend, Bill.
Jeff Lepper, get in there.
Well, you got Ryan Briscoe and Scott Tucker clinching their 4th Drivers' Championship for Scott Tucker in P2, but I got to go to the PC category. My buddy Mike Gouache from Molecule gets the championship with his co-driver Dane Cameron in the PC category. I know where I'm going to be this weekend. I'll be up in Benicia, California, celebrating with that team.
We didn't even mention the GT race and the winners, Falcon Tire, another small team going against the big programs from Michelin and so forth and Corvette. What happened?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a true David versus Goliath moment, and there are lots of Goliaths. You know, as you said, you've got the Corvette team, Jan Magnussen and Antonio Garcia winning the Drivers' Championship, and that team winning the Manufacturers and Team Championship. But they had a guy named Dirk Mueller, of course, in the BMW team, was in the hunt for the Drivers' Championship the last few hours of the race. That Falcon Tire team got out front. Remember, it's a 2010 car. After the huge wreck at Baltimore that took out so many cars, they ended up having to run a 2010 car, but they hit a setup. They tested Road Atlanta, and they got a tire that was perfect. And they had another driver named Nick Tandy joining Hensler and Sellers, a great driver lineup. And Tandy held off an onslaught from Dirk Mueller throughout the last couple of hours of the race. It was spectacular stuff, and that little Falcon Tire team brings it home.
And I'm always pleased when they get the win in the ALMS. That's a small team, a small paddock even. It's just good that everybody wins. I'm big for the little guy in the David and Goliath story, and it's good to see them pull it off.
Absolutely. It's a great program. We hope, of course, that continues in the future. And that is the new Tudor United Sports Car Championship. They put up a graphic at the end that said less than 98 days now to Daytona, much less than that to the first set of tests. There's still a lot that's up in the air with that championship, lots of unknowns. Hopefully it all comes together. Greg Pickett actually directed a comment directly to Jim France, who is, of course, in the banquet audience. He said, "Our futures are in your hands. Be honest and be wise." And I think that was a great way to wrap things up.
Wow. Good for him. That's certainly the truth. Indeed, there's a lot that's in the hands of the France family and NASCAR and Grand Am to get this thing up and running and to get it running well. We'll be back with the DTM report from Jeff right after this. This is the Racing Insiders.
Let us know what you think about what the Racing Insiders have to say. Tell us on Facebook and Twitter. Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new Go Racing TV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Jeff Lepper is in Folsom, California, and Greg Kramer is in Atlanta. We've got the DTM race at Hockenheim, the last race of the season, and still a headline, a new winner. Jeff, give us the details.
Well, that's right, Bill. Timo Glock takes the win in the final round of the 2013 DTM Series in his BMW. Former Formula One driver making the switch over to DTM. Had a guest there this weekend with Mercedes was Lewis Hamilton. So seeing a lot of these Formula One drivers come over to DTM, it was pretty cool to see Timo Glock get that win. Second place went to Roberto Merhi. The youngster, 20 years old, started in the 21st position, jumped the start, had to do a drive-through penalty, slowly worked his way back up through the field, and the war of attrition got him to finish second. Bruno Spengler, who sat on the pole for the Hockenheim race number 2, actually finished third. Sort of defines his whole season. He's always been there, always been on the podium, but never able to clinch a race win or a victory in the championship here this year.
The championship was a great one. The guy who finished second, who lost out to Mike Rockenfeller of Audi, is the BMW driver, Augusto Farfus. We talked to him.
Me as a race car driver, I always come to the race weekend and I want to give my very best. I want to push, I want to bring the car to the limit, I want to enjoy the weekend. And that's what I did this year. And of course we had some down races, some difficult moments, but at the end overall I would say the season has been extremely positive, especially considering it's my second year in DTM and won 3 races so far, so we did a good job. Mike was perfect, I have to say. He scored in every race, but my secret was just pushing as much as I could every weekend.
You know, Jeff, you mentioned that the DTM is a place where a lot of Formula One guys go. They used to talk about it as a retirement ground for Formula One.
Yeah, it really is, and I like that terminology, but then I don't like that terminology. And let's all remember, every driver in the DTM series is a paid driver. There's no rental rides in DTM. They're factory-supported, factory drivers throughout the entire field of DTM. So the competition that these guys have and these teams have, both with Mercedes, Audi, and now BMW, clinching their second consecutive championship, coming back to the series last year was, just tells you how the competition sets up in DTM. By far, one of my favorite series in all of sports car racing. I was still looking forward to that 2015 announcement of DTM coming to the United States. I really hope that happens, especially with the United Sports Car Series. If that can happen, or if there's a standalone event somewhere, I will be there.
Greg, that's a good point. You were at the banquet with the ALMS this last weekend. Did anything come up about the DTM appearance?
No, actually, there was no comment made. Of course, it was pretty much all tilted toward the conclusion of the American Le Mans season, as well as the American Le Mans series itself, and a lot of energy put toward looking toward the new United Sports Car Championship. Wasn't really anything said about the DTM at that point. The last we've heard is that is still being discussed. It is still a possibility, but not hearing anything in terms of specifics or absolutes on that. And the other thing that I just wanted to say quickly, you talk about how intense this series is. Joey Hand, who is an immensely successful BMW driver in the American Le Mans series, has been racing in that series now at the DTM for the last couple of years. It is such a unique format with the DTM that is one of the issues that Joey's had to deal with in overcoming, is just the structure of it, the intensity of it, and just getting used to it. Of course, learning tracks as well. And the other thing, Jeff, you're talking about the Formula One drivers that are there, and some of the long-term guys that have been in that championship. I think one of the great stories this year is a young man named Robert Wickens, who has been absolutely spectacular, ended up 5th in the points. I watched him coming up in Canada in Formula BMW and doing some open wheel racing. He too has made the switch, and he's the other side of that coin from the Formula One drivers and the veterans. Here's this young gun that is coming up and has an opportunity to truly prove himself and plops himself down in 5th in the championship. Great story.
Yeah, it was a great time there. I remember Lewis Hamilton watching his driver interview here this weekend. He said that DTM series is the Formula One series with 10 tops. So it kind of tells you what the level of these cars are and the technology that these teams have in their cars.
Rally America. We have a great championship that was decided this past weekend in Upper Peninsula, Michigan. We'll be right back with the winner, the guy who came out with the championship, right after this.
This segment of the Racing Insiders was brought to you by GoRacingTV.com, for racers by racers.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. We're all over the map today. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Jeff Lepper is in Northern California and Folsom, California. We've got the producer of the show in Baltimore, and we're going to Wales right now to talk to David Higgins, now a 3-time champion in the United States, the Rally America Championship. He got that last championship in a spectacular run last weekend with Ken Block in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, the Lake Superior Performance Rally. David, congratulations. You and Ken put on quite a show there in Michigan.
Yeah, no, it's thanks a lot. It's fantastic to win the championship again. It's been an awesome battle this year, and Ken's really made it a hell of a fight for us. So just huge relief at the moment, and feeling pretty tired because there was a fairly big party on Saturday night and a little bit of recovery going on.
Jeff, let me get one thing in here before you take it over. I heard a statement from you, David Higgins, that the speeds approached World Rally Championship speeds. The two of you were even tied on a couple of stages. You were trading back and forth. Tell me a little bit about the speed, and did that maybe lead to the accident with Ken in stage 12 on Saturday morning?
I think it's fair to say that we were both on the limit. There was not a lot left, really. We were pushing really hard. We took an advantage in the dark on the Friday night, but we knew absolutely 100% for sure that Ken would come back fighting hard on Saturday, which he did. He beat us on the first two in the morning, and then we went out into the next stage knowing that we had to respond again. And we had some big moments. He had a little bit of a spin on a corner, and I think probably he would have been fairly angry with that. If I was a driver like him, I'd be in the same situation. Then he had a very bad accident, which was a shame because obviously the fight was fantastic and we were having great fun as well, because as sports guys, we want to be pushed to our limits and we want to race hard, and it surely was a hard battle this weekend.
Jeff Lepper, get in there.
Well, David, congratulations on your championship, your third consecutive. Great job there. We're starting to see some transition here in America for the popularity of the global rallycross. I know European rallycross has been big, and we're starting to see that transition over there. Do you see yourself stepping into doing some global rallycrosses here in America as well?
For sure, I'd love to do it, but I'd like to do it with the rallying as well. I wouldn't like to sort of leave rallying 100% just to do GRC. The sport's great, but it's not an awful lot of actual driving time. Where when we do a rally, we're in the cars for a long time. It's 2 days of hard driving. Where the rallycross, you're looking at sort of 25, 30 minutes of driving. So I'd love to do it as well as a rallying, but not just on its own.
Give me some update on where American rallying is now compared to some of the other national championships that you've won around the world.
Yeah, this one this year was as hard as championship as I've ever won before. China used to have some fantastic drivers and some really good battles over there, but it was very unheard of, so you didn't get much publicity for it or much reward for it, really. But this year's championship battle is like really been very, very good. Like Ken's got a fantastic team, fantastic car, and they work very, very hard at it. So we've all had to up our game. The team's had to up their game this year. We've even going in 2 weeks before the last rally, we snuck in an extra test because we knew we needed to find every last tenth of a second we get out of the car. And when you're pushed as a team and as a driver that hard, it makes it much more rewarding when you win it. Like I was just thinking like 10 minutes ago how bad it would be to be sit here now not having won the championship, but we've done it again and it's fantastic.
Finally, Guy Wilkes was at the rally there at Lake Superior, kind of checking everything out, observing. The two of you know each other. You've competed against each other. What would you tell him about the possibility of coming to the United States next year?
It's difficult, really. Guy's a good driver, and obviously the more good drivers we have in the championship, the better. Guy likes to talk. He's very vocal and has a very high opinion of himself. So it'd be great to see him there but he'll bring another element to it. But the more good drivers in top cars we can have, the better. Because at the moment, what's happened this year, even with myself and Ken, we've really sort of had to step up our pace and go a bit quicker. And it'll be when one of us has a problem, it means you can afford to back off and slow down and drive comfortably. Where it'd be nice to have a bit more depth in the field, so you have to keep pushing 100% all the time, every rally.
David Higgins, Subaru Rally Team USA, with Craig Drew as co-driver, 3 consecutive championships. This last one was very hard to get. He had to watch Ken Block win 3 in a row before he finally overcame that charge and won the championship last weekend. Congratulations again, David Higgins.
Thanks very much.
Next, the World Endurance Championship. Wait till you see these pictures from Japan, how the weather affected a run in the World Endurance Championship. Next on the Racing Insiders.
This segment is brought to you by Safe Racer.
The World Endurance Championship round in Japan, everything leading to the race had beautiful weather, a beautiful country, and beautiful people. But on race day, the weather was less than beautiful. It affected Audi's run for the Drivers' Championship, even though Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, who runs the Audi program, he could celebrate the Manufacturers' Championship for Audi. Here's a report on the race and the terrible conditions surrounding it.
It's a 29-car grid, 80 drivers from 23 different nations, all gathered in the shadow of Mount Fuji.
Starting behind the safety car, cars in single file. We are starting behind the safety car, cars must maintain a single file.
In very wet conditions, the race gets underway behind the safety car, and car 8 misses the call to the grid due to a last-minute fuel top-up. After just 8 laps, the race is suspended due to increasingly difficult conditions. Eventually, the rain lets up a little, and it's a second start behind the safety car.
Race has been resumed behind the safety car. Race has been resumed behind the safety car. Safety car instructed to do first lap at 90 kilometers an hour.
And again, conditions on the track are far from easy. In the next laps, the number 1 Audi heads for the pits for air intake repairs, leaving the number 7 Toyota in the lead. But the safety car remains the sole arbitrator, and conditions are still extremely difficult for the cars. And after just 8 more laps, the race is stopped, this time for good. with honours going to the cars in their order of arrival. Toyota are again victorious on home ground, but the taste of victory would have been sweeter if the race had run its normal course. With Audi crowned 2013 champions thanks to their second place, Toyota will be going all out for wins in the next 2 rounds of the WEC in Shanghai and Bahrain.
Also at Fuji Speedway this weekend, Nissan made the track debut for its revolutionary all-electric prototype, the Ziad RC, Zero Emissions on Demand. Michael Crum was the driver. It's a signal now that full track testing will get underway before the 24 Hours of Le Mans next June. The Racing Insiders will continue with the weekend calendar after this. I told you it was going to be a good show this week. We're all over the world. The Racing Insiders, the weekend calendar is coming up. 2 major events, V8 Supercars and the World Rally Championship is in Spain. Jeff, what are you going to be taking care of this weekend?
Well, I'm going to definitely be tuning into that V8 Supercars race, probably next to DTM, my second favorite sports car racing series in the world. But then I'm heading over to Benicia, California. I said it earlier, going to go hang out with Mike Gouache and celebrate his PC champion in the American Le Mans Series race.
Benicia, man, they got a great restaurant there at the bottom of the hill, right before the last exit before the bridge, I think. Captain's Table, I think that's the name of it. Is it still there, do you know?
Absolutely.
Wow, that was a nice place. Had dinner there with a young lady once, but that's another story altogether. This is the Racing Insiders. That's an inside story that you don't want to hear. This is the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. We had Greg Kramer in Atlanta, Jeff Lepper in Folsom, California. What a great show. Got to look at it again on your DVR. Want to see you next week, V8 Supercars and the World Rally Championship. Until then, take care of each other, respect each other. I'm Bill Wood. Peace.